All right. Well, let's hop on in and get
Let's
started.
get going then.
Well, first of all, we just want to thank you all for joining us. We so appreciate you taking the time out. We know you're busy. So, thank you so much for scheduling us in to talk with you today. My name is Simone Jennings, and I'm the digital learning experience designer. And this is Patty Taylor here with me, and she's one of our curriculum and instruction specialists. Now, before we hop on into the presentation, we have a few short announcements. This year, we'll be doing a virtual passport for you to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And the rules are really simple. All you have to do is check in at the beginning and the end of each session that you attend. So you can use this link that we have on the screen here. And you must have attended the session live, just so you know. Each session you attend is going to give you a stamp on your virtual passport, and each stamp counts towards another entry into our raffle. So the more sessions that you attend, the more stamps you get, and the more chances you have to win a $100 Amazon gift card. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. If you have any questions about the passport system, I know it can be a little tricky, just feel free to ask us in the chat and we'll make sure that we answer your question by the end of today's session. Also, just so you know, we've got some team members that are helping us out in the chat, and they're also assisting us with looking at and picking out some of our most engaged participants, because we're going to send out some swag bags. So don't feel shy. Feel free to interact with us and ask us questions. We're happy to answer them and to interact with you. And then we're also kicking off our All-Star contest, and the top 500 students with the highest time on task are going to win. So you want to make sure to head on over to classworks.com/contest for more information on that. And Patty, I will send it to you to get us started.
Okay, Simone, thank you for that. Well, we're going to talk today about parental involvement and how we know that's always been an important focus for our schools. And we know as educators that successful learning can be more impactful when parents and caregivers play an active role in a student's education. With the impact of COVID on our schools, the use of technology has really grown. Gosh, just a few short months ago, how many of us and how many of our parents have even heard of the word Zoom? Now, Zoom calls, Google Hangout, and Microsoft Teams have become second nature. Our parents are facing a mountain of challenges when trying to help educate their children. So, how can we help encourage and support our parents as they take a more active role in educating their children? Whether the learning is taking place in the classroom or virtually, many parents are finding themselves in a complex role of educating their children while using technology, and many of them just don't know where to start. Today, we want to discuss some of the ways that educators can help support parents and caregivers as they continue to support the learners at their house. So first, let's take a look at our agenda. Topics to be discussed are the importance of gathering information, streamlining your learning platforms, providing consistent communication, scheduling, and offering support to your parents. We will take a look at each of these and offer some practical ideas. Simone, how about getting us started with gathering information?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first steps to overcoming a problem is to take a look at where you are. As educators, we know it's always important to look at data before making decisions. And even now, in the face of virtual learning and COVID-19 and all the uncertainty, it's really important that we know the facts as we create plans and revise our plans. With schools already educating students, either virtually or traditionally, it is so good to reflect on where we are. Now, a survey is a great way to collect data. If you haven't surveyed your parents yet concerning technology, now is a really good time. If you already surveyed them, you're going to want to review your data and see if you're missing crucial information, or perhaps there's a new information that you need. Instead of making assumptions on how the technology is being used by your students and your parents, just ask them. Are your parents facing issues? Don't be afraid to find out. One thing is certain, you can't help solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So go looking for the facts, and a survey can spotlight the needs for further evaluation or show where support is needed. Your parents will truly appreciate the opportunity to share their thoughts. A brief technology survey to identify needs of your students and parents doesn't have to be labor intensive. The survey can consist of a few specific questions, or it can even have questions that are open-ended. So perhaps in place of a survey, in place of your survey for your teachers, you could do an informal check-in with your parents. One teacher that we know did a check-in using her communication app with her parents, and it was just two simple questions. What do you like best about the technology? Followed by what part of technology is giving you problems? And these two questions offered the teacher a great deal of feedback. She was also able to solve some of her parents' pain points, and they were so appreciative of that. One parent even reached out to the principal to express his appreciation.
Well, you know, that teacher appreciated that extra shout out to her principal. So, well, now let's remember that the important thing is to figure out how your parents are doing in the area of supporting technology and help them to troubleshoot their issues. After you process their surveys, the information collected can be extremely useful. Perhaps info collected could help create a monthly parent support meeting. This meeting can be offered as a parent academy or even an open house. It could also be videotaped for virtual attendance or shared through social media.
That's right. You know, one school district has even set aside a few hours every week to provide technology support for their parents. Parents are able to actually come to the school. If they have their questions, they can get them answered on technology issues or even best practices for using technology at home. Providing support for your parents, whether students are learning in a traditional setting or remotely, can be a big win for your school.
It can, Simone. And don't we all want to just build stronger relationships with our parents? Well, this is a great start. Now, let's take a look at how schools can help simplify the learning process for parents and students by using a learning management system. The use of a learning management system can be so helpful to teachers, students, and parents, but being aware of how it's used is so important. One issue we hear from parents is the confusion of the different ways teachers use to communicate. The purpose of an LMS is to organize the learning in one location and to track that learner's progress. School districts and schools can help by streamlining this process. Teachers have always planned out every detail of their classroom, and they are struggling to create a perfect LMS platform too. They will spend hours designing so that it's unique and it displays their personality.
Patty, if I can interject for 1 second, while there's nothing wrong with this, we are hearing how overwhelmed teachers are with instructing students either virtually or in person, and in some cases both. So simplifying your efforts and creating that over-the-top LMS platform will help you, the teacher, as well as your students and the parents.
That's so right, Simone. Teachers should be encouraged to use the same LMS and have discussions with each other on how they are setting up their virtual classrooms. The more consistent and familiar the use of the LMS is, the easier it's going to be for your families. Just think about a family that might have several learners, and then those learners might have a lot of different teachers. Technology for your families will be so much easier if your teachers communicate with each other and find some commonality. Your families, I promise, will love you for it.
That's right. And one great thing about Classworks is that it will integrate with almost every learning management system. So whether you're using Google Classroom, Schoology, or many of the other LMSs, we can show you how to personalize your instruction for your students and make it accessible on one platform. Now, if you're interested in learning how to integrate Classworks with your LMS, be sure to check out our help documents and videos on our website. We will make sure to include these links in the resources that we follow up with. Now, since being consistent with your LMS is super helpful for your parents, let's talk about simplifying your communication platforms too. One of the most common concerns we've heard from parents who have children in the virtual learning environment is the lack of consistent communication. Now, we've talked to many families who have expressed to us the challenges of communication. Now, this leads to a lot of frustration, as I'm sure you know. So let's take a few moments to look at both of these issues and review some simple solutions to make communication with parents easier and more streamlined.
Yeah, there is no doubt that parents are busier than ever right now. Many of our parents are working from home and they're assisting their children with their online learning. Parents are still adjusting to their new normal, and when we add additional technology platforms to their list of things to master, it can add another layer of frustration and chaos to their already existing challenges. For many parents, the LMS system alone can be cumbersome. As we mentioned earlier, each teacher may use the learning management system differently, making it hard to navigate the platform on their own. This is just one example when consistent communication can effectively save you time and help parents solve a major issue.
Now, we know that sounds great, but how should you communicate with parents and capture their attention when they're running 1,000 miles per minute? Well, there are so many options available, and chances are we know that your school is probably using multiple platforms already. There's email, text, LMS, website announcements, and that's just to name a few. All these are great, and we're not necessarily suggesting that you change what you're using. It may be just an adjustment in how you're using them that can make all the difference. So first, we need to understand how we can make the biggest impact by meeting parents where it makes the most sense. So remember earlier when we discussed surveying your parents to figure out what their preferred method of communication is. That's your step number one. And then next, you want to create a plan that caters to the communication method the majority of your parents chose. You'll want to decide how often you're going to be communicating with your parents and mark those dates on your calendar so you know ahead of time when you should start gathering your information. Then share your new communication plan with your parents. What platforms will you use? How are you going to use them? How often should parents be checking those platforms? And what information should parents expect to receive?
Yeah, those are all great ideas, Simone. So let's review an example communication plan to understand how to utilize the platforms that you already have to connect with parents. Does your school send a monthly newsletter to parents? If so, gosh, this is a great way to announce big IT updates that affect all of your students. Get the message out by suggesting the addition of a technology section in the monthly newsletter. With new platforms come new challenges. Host a monthly Zoom tech meeting with parents, and this can really help with the learning curve. Demoing the new platform in real time allows your parents to work through challenges and ask important questions.
That's right, Patty. And we all understand the importance of keeping your parents up to date with specific class information. In most cases, email communication is going to be the key, right? But think about if there's a way to minimize the amount of one-off emails and consolidate them. In our example, we're using a bi-weekly schedule to streamline the email communication process. For daily updates, using your LMS system and a Facebook group can really be the perfect way to keep parents updated without overwhelming their inbox. Parents are likely to see this LMS update as they're helping their children daily, and they also can check the Facebook group while they're browsing online. Lastly, keep an FAQ page or some type of online archive where your parents can go back to find helpful information. That can really be a time-saving benefit. And you can update this platform as often as needed and use it as a self-serve resource hub with tips, videos, articles, and general information for parents to access whenever they feel like they need it. Now, we'll go into more detail a little bit later on a few of these.
Okay, yeah. Studies show that people must see a piece of information 7 times for it to stick. That's why it's a great idea to integrate your important updates into other forms of communication that your school is already using. Not only will this help your parents retain the information given, but it's also going to be a chance of connecting with parents who may have missed your update. So for example, let's just say that you're implementing a new platform in your class. If your parents prefer email communication, then send them an email about this platform and your weekly email update, how it's going to be used, and some tips on how to navigate the platform. Also, add an announcement in your LMS system and ask if they can add a note in your school's newsletter. This way, you're going to be maximizing your reach and providing parents with the same information in a variety of ways. When implemented correctly, a communication plan can streamline your process, confine the amount of platforms you use, and lessen the amount of one-off daily contacts to parents.
Yep. And in a perfect world, right, it would be great if all of your parents checked all of your communication platforms and absorbed all the information. But it's safe to say it's highly unlikely that that's going to be the case, right? So we found it helpful here at Classworks to have an archive of tips and information for our customers to access at any time. And you could use the same model for your parents as well. So by archiving all of your communications to your parents and storing it in a helpful online database, you can quickly address recurring questions by providing just a simple link. Now, this sounds challenging at first glance, but you don't have to overcomplicate this. The simpler it is, the better it is for everyone. So here are a few suggestions. You can add an announcements page in your LMS system, as we talked about. You can store all of your current and previous IT updates on this LMS system so that your parents can get the information they need all in one place. You can also start that private Facebook group that we talked about. You can connect with your parents and keep them updated in the online spaces that they're already spending time in. So a Facebook group allows parents the flexibility to absorb helpful information on their own time. They'll be able to look at previous posts and catch up on any information they might have missed along the way. And then that help desk or FAQ page that we talked about on the school website, this is a great way to keep parents informed on IT news. Store your important how-to video walkthroughs, any blog posts, newsletters, anything like that, just for easy access. Now, I hope we've helped you gain some new ideas on how to streamline your communication plans to gain more time in your schedule and help parents find the answers that they need more efficiently. Now, as a reminder, you're going to have a consistent communication plan that fits the style the majority of your parents prefer. You want to archive all of your communications for easy access in the future and offer virtual training sessions, Q&As, or appointments for parents who need additional assistance.
Yeah, that's great. That's that 1, 2, 3 punch, Simone. Thanks for sharing those. Well, as teachers, we know that planning, organizing, and scheduling a classroom can be that daunting task. But today's teachers also have to be available to support parents in the home environment. Many parents struggle with creating a schedule to support learning at home, just like many parents pre-COVID struggled with setting aside time for students to do homework. It boils down to time management. So let's take a look at some tips that you can share with your parents and caregivers to help set students up for success with remote learning, even learning after the school day. Parents should set aside a quiet, comfortable workspace for children to complete their schoolwork. If possible, this should not be the bedroom or a place with lots of distractions. Parents should also allow their child to take a brain break, 15 minutes of playtime, coloring, or an activity they enjoy as a reward. Or if your student's been in school all day, give them the first 30 minutes after school to unwind and grab a snack. We all can benefit from downtime. And 2, make sure that your child's devices are always fully charged and located where Wi-Fi isn't a problem. And then, when working remotely, it's important for parents to understand their child's schedule and check in regularly to see that they're on task. Parents can also take some time to familiarize themselves with the programs their child uses daily. And then make sure that your parents feel comfortable reaching out for help and scheduling meetings whenever they have a question. Remember, the big goal here is student success. And when parents and teachers work together, everybody wins.
Now, let's talk about an issue that we hear parents express often, and teachers have reached out to us for help on. The issue is multiple children in the household, but only one device. And a great solution for a teacher that is helping a family with this issue is to video record your lessons. When a teacher records her lessons and places them in the LMS, all students have access to them when the lessons are needed. Now, these videotaped lessons can support students that are sick or out of school for some reason, or even be used as a review for a lesson when a student doesn't master the content. This offers families and students flexibility on when to watch the lessons and complete the work. It's important to remember that parents need the support of their schools just as much as you need their support to make this school year, and particularly, as successful as possible. Now, we all know that tech challenges are more common than not, and as much as we love technology, things are going to happen. We have to be prepared for Zoom to go down in the middle of a lesson. We have all been there, or our LMS system to have server issues. Now, do you have a plan in place to help your parents teach your students when these tech failures occur? If not, now's a great time to set up your plan B in advance and help your parents help you. Providing guidelines for device care is so important as well. Many students are going to be using the equipment from the district, and parents and students should be aware of how to keep those devices safe and operational. Sharing this information will allow you to be proactive in preventing some issues. Now, as a parent myself, I have often struggled with how to teach my children math in particular. That is not my strong suit. Definitely with using the same methods as their teacher uses in math. And I'll be honest, methods have certainly advanced since my days in elementary and middle school, and my brain just doesn't compute math the new school way. I know a lot of people have that issue, right? So this is where I'd find a couple video tutorials on how to teach math at home super helpful. Not only would this help me understand how
You
my
have a calculator in your hand. Excuse me. You have a calculator in your hand now. That's why you don't compute in your
there you go. That's right. That's right. Not only would this help me understand how my children are learning in the classroom, but it will also cut the confusion and streamline their learning process in school and at home.
That is so true, Simone. It's something that we all can struggle with. So, well, Classworks offers videos to support students and parents. How about introducing students to Classworks with your parents? Or perhaps sharing another great video on why is Classworks important. These two videos do an excellent job of explaining Classworks to your students and parents. Cheat sheets are also a helpful tool to use to guide parents on what to do when the unthinkable
I'm sorry, could you go back
happens.
1 second, please?
Oh, yes. Hang on just a second. I can. Right there. About those tools. And those videos, y'all, those are great. We have that in our help documents, and I think Kellen's going to throw that in the chat for you. But those two videos will really help your parents and your students, introducing students to Classworks and why is Classworks important. Thank you, Kellen, for putting that in there. Okay, so we're talking about cheat sheets, and when that unthinkable happens, like Simone says, if Zoom goes down or whatever, so as a teacher, think through some of those common scenarios that are likely to happen when you teach digitally. What are the steps you want your students and parents to take in the event that these issues happen? Create a few cheat sheets to help your parents navigate through these challenges so that they aren't left to their own devices to frantically figure all that out. And, like I said just a minute ago, remember that Classworks offers support too for your parents and for you, and it's help.classworks.com. I know Kellen has put that in the chat again.
Yep, that's great information. And Classworks offers many great resources for teachers to share with their parents, like we said. So videos can help parents understand Classworks and the ways that they can help support their students. We even have a printable parent letter available in English and in Spanish. So make sure you check them out in our parent resources, as we stated a little earlier. And this is just an example of our Spanish parent letter, which is available for you in our Help Center. All right, we also have a blog. Our blog features helpful articles to help guide you and your parents on how to work with the students for ultimate success this year.
Yeah, Simone. And if you hear about common issues or you find yourself being asked the same questions over and over again by your parents, that is a great indication that there are some overarching technical challenges that your parents are facing. And so that's a great prompt for you to prepare a webinar or a virtual Q&A to address these issues head on. Even walking the questions live and through with your parents and giving them an opportunity to ask questions is so helpful.
That's right. Putting yourself in the shoes of your parents and doing your best to stay one step ahead will help ease the frustration that can accompany technical difficulties and provide the support that parents desperately need while assisting their children at home. So don't worry about memorizing all the tips that we've shared with you today. We'll be providing a cheat sheet and a helpful communication plan template soon via email. Now, these resources will provide an overview of all the suggestions that we've shared with you today, as well as assist you in creating a communication for yourself that works for you and for your parents.
And that's right. What a great resource, Simone. Well, we know that this school year certainly looks different than the ones we're accustomed to. We've had to think fast, implement new systems, and pivot when necessary. Kudos for the job that you are doing as educators. Your extra efforts are so appreciated. We know that if educators, parents, and students all work together, that this school year can be successful just as any other.
That's right. So don't be afraid to step back a little and take some time just to plan, to organize, and to implement technology thoughtfully. Streamlining your systems, clear communication, and proper parent support can really create an opportunity for technology to become your most important asset. Thank you so much for joining us today. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to chat your questions or mute yourself. And while you're doing that, here's a quick reminder. This is our agenda for the rest of the Fall Summit. These sessions will go into deeper dives about specific features of Classworks designed to make your life easier to maximize student growth. These are 30-minute sessions unless noted as a 45-minute workshop otherwise. All right, we are open to take any questions. If we haven't answered anything for you that you'd like us to, we're here to help.
Please make sure you guys get checked in so we can get your passport stamped for attending this session. I've placed the check-in link into our chat box.
Oh, I've got a private one here that says, I love the idea of creating a communication plan and getting it in writing. You shared an example. Is there a way I could get a copy of that? Absolutely. We will be sending it out with our follow-up, probably maybe in a few weeks or so. So just, be sure to keep a lookout on your email and we'll shoot that over to you.
We really appreciate everybody's time today. It was great to get together, and we just hope that you have the best school year and just make the best of everything, and keep your parents in mind when you are making those decisions. So Simone, always great to spend time with you, and Kellen, thanks for manning the chat.
Thank you guys. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.